right. So, Heather, I am excited to have you back. I need to tell you this crazy story from yesterday. I got a DM from former Duke women's basketball player, and now she's in the WNBA. And she saw some of our podcasts and also some episodes I've done with Cynthia and other Olympians and pro athletes on how they've really changed their nutrition from what they did in college
Hmm.
and just kind of moving away from a lot of these very conventional sports nutrition plans. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm performing at a high level, but I'm still kind of experiencing some crippling hormonal issues and period pains, and I really can't figure it out because I'm following all these plans to the T. I'm having my rice, my granola, my yogurt, I'm snacking throughout the day, I'm having my gel packs, my chicken breast." And she's like, "I'm doing what I think is healthy, but I'm still having really bad cramps and all these other period symptoms." And then she was like, "Yeah, I heard you and some others talking about a very meat forward approach and figuring out what quality carbohydrates your body can handle and what foods are either helping your symptoms or hurting them, and not just doing these like general plans." So she's starting to dig for more information because I think you get to a point in your career where you're like, "Dang, I'm doing pretty well, but like why is my health not okay? Why am I having weird symptoms?" So I just thought that was a very interesting message, and I went down the rabbit hole with her and I'm like, "Look, check this out, check this out, check this out." And just you might need to totally revamp what's going on. And I
Yeah.
gave her Cynthia, who obviously has been helping me with my nutrition, if she wants more like professional plans and advice. But it's just crazy. And I get a lot of these DMs too from athletes who are like, "Why am I still having health issues, hormonal issues, and I'm following all these plans that I think are healthy for me?"
Yeah, I mean it's disheartening. Like we've talked about it before, like our experiences in college and you know, the Cliff Bars, the carbs, the sugary electrolyte drinks and all that stuff. And you know, we didn't feel great, but we were like, well, it is what it is. This is what we have to do. So the fact that like this podcast is reaching levels of like, a WNBA player is epic. And I think that her taking the first step to be like, okay, let's investigate here. I hope that she dives deep into it and can see how amazing she can feel and how it can eliminate some of those crappy symptoms. Because as an athlete, dude, it sucks to like, train at a high level and play and have these stupid period symptoms like the cramping and the headaches and the whatever. It's like, come on, man. Like, I'm doing everything right and this isn't getting any better.
And it really can be mitigated with those nutrition and lifestyle changes. And it took us a while to figure it out, but now that we're on the other side, it's a miracle. And we were just talking off air about it. I just got done my period and it was like nothing really happened. I looked down on day one, I'm like, "Oh, it's here," but there was nothing else happening. There was no cramping, there was no fatigue. I just was able to go about my day. And when I was a college and high school athlete, that was not the case at all. And had I known back then that I could be using my nutrition and being more diligent and, I would say, disciplined with myself with nutrition, man, I wouldn't have had to go through those pains. And I think some female athletes need to realize that, yeah, you might need to be disciplined with your nutrition. Some people are preaching, well, moderate, it's okay to do this, it's okay to do that, but is it okay to experience negative symptoms your whole life? I mean, like, you
Right.
kind of
It's
have
not
to
worth it.
weigh the costs and the sacrifices you're willing to make. But I don't think this is a sacrifice because we're still enjoying what we eat, we're still very satiated, but then the
Yeah.
added bonus is, wow, these hormonal symptoms are in remission.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like I think the funny part is too, it's like I thoroughly enjoy the foods that I'm eating more so than the foods that I was eating. Like, and we've talked about it. It was almost like a chore. It was like, okay, I gotta have my carbs, I gotta have my veggies, I gotta have this. And it was like so exhausting. And now it's like clockwork. Like I know exactly what I'm gonna eat and I have everything I could want in my fridge. I don't have to plan it out if I don't want to. I know I can come home and have a steak and maybe a sweet potato or, whatever. I don't have to like plan these lavish meals that take forever to make and then I end up eating half of it because I don't really like it or I get super full because I'm eating, the carbs first instead of the protein. It's like it's not a hard lifestyle. It is so simple and so effective and the results are you feel good and you eliminate a lot of these issues that you're having, whether it is like hormonal or, and we're going to get into it, but like all the other stuff that you and I were experiencing.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look back on some of those plans we did in college, and I do remember thinking, "Wow, this is very stressful. This
Yes.
is very time consuming." Just like looking at all of the meals throughout the day, like have your toast and then cottage cheese and then eggs and then at 10 a.m. you're gonna have a yogurt with berries and and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is so overwhelming. And now it's true intuitive eating.
$100%.
It's
Yeah.
like I just crave proteins, fats first, and then I have my carbs. And I had Cynthia on a few weeks ago and she said, long story short, you want to pick the carbs strategically and the ones that are quality, nutrient dense, and the ones that your gut can handle. I think for you, you do potatoes, you do different fruits, and I do that as well as raw honey and kefir
Yep.
and some yogurts. But it's just I think everyone's like, well, if you're not eating all the breads and all the pastas, then you have orthorexia or you have an eating disorder. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, but those things give me gut distress. Those things give me constipation. My acne flares up. My
100%.
period pains are worse. So it's just crazy that that's what some people are saying. If you get rid of certain foods that your body doesn't agree with, that you have an issue or you have orthorexia,
Yeah.
which is so crazy to me. It's like, well, I don't really want to go through these symptoms. So
Right. I don't wanna
don't
feel
come
like
at me here.
yeah, I don't wanna feel like complete crap because, like, I don't
Yeah.
know, at least for me, like, if something is off, whether it's, like, I've got bad acid reflux or I've got GI issues going on or, I've got a sinus headache from the foods that I've been eating. When I go to work as a coach, like, I don't wanna have to be worrying about that. I wanna feel good and on for my athletes and my adults. And when I don't feel like that, it's noticeable. Like, I'm a little less energetic, I'm a little less me. And yeah, if it's a food that's causing it that I've been told that I have to have, I'm like, "No, I'm not doing it, I'm eliminating it." Like, that just sounds ridiculous. Like, "No, keep eating this food even though you're feeling like crap." Like, no, not doing that.
And I think that's an important point to make. I think, some female athletes can get away with having all the things, but
Mhm.
then there's some female athletes that can't.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to figure it out. I mean, it took us 30 plus years to figure this all
Yeah.
out, but
But we're here,
yeah,
so
it's something you learn over time and what your body responds to. And I do agree that you should only really eliminate if you're having like a medical issue or some symptoms. But we also just talked about this. If girls are having very negative symptoms from their nutrition, but then they go to the doctor and the doctor's like, "Oh, well, we ran all the tests, everything is fine, like everything looks great." But it's like you're still having those symptoms. So in
right,
this case, you do kind of have to be your own advocate and you need to dig deeper because the doctor only spends like 15 minutes with you, but you spend every hour with you.
right,
And yeah, and you
Yeah,
know when you have cramps, you know when your acne flares up or you have bloating and alternating constipation and diarrhea or whatever you're
yeah,
experiencing. It's just if the doctor tells you, well, everything's fine, but there's still stuff going on, then yeah, I think female athletes should dig deeper because these symptoms can ruin sport performance. They can be
100%.
very crippling. So I think it's important if you're experiencing this, then you need to figure it out, and it's okay to look at certain food groups and be like, "Oh, well, yeah, I might need to get rid of this and replace with something else I can handle."
Right, and to piggyback off that, being your own advocate means taking a step back and saying, "Okay, what can I eliminate that I know could potentially be causing those issues?" And, you got a couple things, right? Like we know dairy, most people can't handle certain kinds of dairy. Okay, cool. I'm gonna eliminate that to see how I feel. And then if some symptoms go away, great. Now I knew it was dairy. And then the next big one is the gluten, right? Like eliminating that, and then you feel even more better. Like I didn't, I've never been a big gluten eater, um, but I recently, back in the spring, I got my stomach scoped because I've suffered from GI issues and acid reflux and all that, so it's like a regular thing. But they came back that I have a gluten sensitivity, and I was like, didn't know that. Like that was the first time anybody said that, and I had already started eliminating that stuff because I started all of this in March. If I felt better, and now that I notice when I do have something, whether it's like go out to a restaurant, you don't know all of the stuff that's going into that. But if I get home and I have sinus pressure, I'm like, okay, there was either like some kind of dairy in there or some kind of gluten. So it's like the triggers, and if you can avoid those triggers to feel better, like it's like a no brainer.
One thing I do want to say about eliminating certain things that your body doesn't respond to, just because you're doing elimination doesn't mean there should be restriction in the
Yeah,
sense of overall calories. And I really want to hammer that home. If you get rid of a certain food group like breads or pastas or grains or whatever, then you have to replace that with something that is also that macronutrient that's providing enough calories within your day to meet that energy expenditure. So I
100%.
think that's something a lot of people aren't talking about is you still have to keep that calorie consumption high to meet your training goals, the workouts for the day or a tournament weekend. So
Yeah,
when we say elimination, that doesn't mean
yeah,
eliminating overall calories. That
no,
means just making sure you're replacing it with foods that your body agrees with
yes,
and really thrives on. And for me, I had to eliminate the cruciferous vegetables because
yep, same,
they made me bloated, constipated, didn't help my skin rosacea and redness. But
yep,
I ended up replacing those to get vitamin C and other antioxidants with certain fruits.
right,
Um,
exactly.
and fruits are also a great form of carbohydrate for energy. I also just recently found that I can handle romaine lettuce, so I can have Caesar salads again, but
Yeah,
lettuce tends to be pretty gentle on the gut. It's more of the very like dark leafy greens that some people struggle with, and then the cruciferous vegetables. So that's been fun. I mean, I do like Caesar salad,
same,
so that's
totally.
been kind of nice. Oh, like I'm resilient enough to add this back in, and
Yeah,
I'm good with it. So that's been exciting.
yep. But I agree. Like we're kind of similar in that way. Like I was always eating like the kale, the spinach, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, all that stuff because like you're ingrained. Gotta eat the vegetables, the big green ones, whatever. And once I that was the big thing for me. Once I eliminated those, my gut and the bloating, like I was like, oh my god, I can feel like this, and I don't have to eat those things. Like it was like mind blowing to me. And it's funny because we still get, well, you're not eating your vegetables, and I'm like, and I feel great. And I'm
Yeah.
still, I still got all the nutrients I need because I'm getting it from other places like steaks or whatever. And
Yeah.
um, I've always been able to handle the romaine lettuce. So like Caesar salads have always been like a homemade Caesar salad, right? Like um, those have been enjoyable for sure.
It's so funny that vegetables were the culprit because
Right?
no one thinks to investigate that.
No,
But
no.
again, like this is something for those of you listening, this is something that you have to investigate on your own
Yeah.
because some people they can have all the broccoli, they can have their
Yep.
kale smoothies. Go for it. Good for you. But for me and Heather, my stomach is happy without that stuff, and I'll get my
100%.
antioxidants and vitamin C from other sources that
Yep.
I actually enjoy eating. Like I got a whole my freezer is stocked with grapes, berries.
Very,
I still
yeah.
love my Honey Crisp apples. I mean, and the
Yes,
raw honey has been fantastic. So yeah, it's just I think people just really need to investigate, and it does take time
for sure.
and it is worth it. It is worth the time. And for female athletes who want to investigate, I think usually it's a good time to do this, maybe in kind of more of a down season.
Yeah, like an
So,
off season for sure.
yeah, like not when school soccer and club soccer is going on at the same time. because there's just not enough time and it can be stressful as your body adjusts and figures things out. But
Yep.
maybe in the summer when things kind of cut back a little bit and there's less games, or in the winter if there's a few months off during the holidays, really dive deep and figure it out. I do want to talk about your symptoms and then my
Mhm.
symptoms that have resolved from mainly going meat forward
Yep.
nutrition lifestyle with high healthy fats, and then also strategic carbohydrates that our bodies do well with.
Yep.
So, do you want to go first? Like, what symptoms have
Yep.
resolved for you by changing your nutrition and being disciplined with it?
Yep. So the big one for me was my chronic acid reflux. Like I have struggled with that my entire adult life. Like I've been scoped probably 5 times because my mom's a GI nurse and she's like, making sure you're okay. Like you make me nervous." And so, but every time I go in, it's okay. I just have symptoms. It's technically inactive, but the symptoms suck. I mean, like it literally feels like I'm having a heart attack. Um, or it's like this horrible burning sensation. It would wake me up in the middle of the night. That kind of stuff. So when I switched up the diet to more meat forward, it it resolved that within, I want to say, like 3 weeks maybe. And now I notice if I do start to eat some of those other foods, like whether it's like a weekend, I'm out at a friend's house, whatever, it comes right back immediately. Like it's like exactly what you ate and what caused that. Um, and I would say too, like um, my stomach's definitely sensitive to, like we just talked about, like the vegetables and all that. So eliminating that and not feeling like, the stomach cramping from the vegetables or having to run to the bathroom, at work or something like that. Like that's an awful feeling when you have 20 kids in front of you and you're like, you know what? Hold on a second. I got to run to the bathroom. That's not happening anymore either. So that's awesome. Um, I would say just general inflammation. So I think that my body handles inflammation like horribly. Just it's been like that my whole life, where headaches, joint aches, like knee problems, you name it. That has definitely been noticeable, especially with the two meniscus surgeries over the last 2 years and struggling with that. I would say in March when I flipped the switch, that's when I felt like my knee didn't become an issue anymore. Like it felt 1,000 times better after about a month of being on this kind of diet. And that made my mood 1,000 times better because I was kind of down in the dumps with it. I'm like, man, I'm really struggling to get back to like ground zero with this knee. Um, so the general inflammation, like the bloating and the joint pain, like gone. Um, I would say, like we talked about, like period symptoms. Like I would say, like I knew when that thing was coming. Like I would have breast tenderness, I would have major headaches, I would have horrible cramping, bad mood swings. Like I would be up and then I'd be down. Um, those have completely gone away. I would say like maybe get a touch of a headache in the beginning. I don't know if that's hormonal or if that's like tension related. It could be both, but it's not as much as it was before, that's for sure. Because it was usually before, in the middle, and then after. So it was like within a week, I would have 3 awful headaches and have to take Motrin, Midol, whatever. So I'm eliminating those kind of drugs as well, which is awesome because they're terrible for you. And like you said, it's just like one you're like, oh, all right, we're doing this. It started, but there was no indication that it was going to start. And then after it did, it's like symptom free, and it's so. I'm not going to say it's enjoyable, but it is kind of enjoyable to like only have that to deal with. You know what I mean? So those are huge. And then I'd say too, like I have just sinus problems in general. And I think eating like the gluten, the dairy, that stuff just added to all of that, where I can almost identify like, okay, this is a sinus pressure from the sinus pressure from that. And then taking that stuff out, it's like, oh my gosh, my face isn't pounding. I can breathe through my nose. And, you know, that was huge because usually those would lead to some kind of headache. And then I would say I didn't have a ton of skin issues like prior to this, but definitely around my period I'd break out around my chin, or like in the summertime, just the nature of like our jobs and whatever, and just the sweating and all that, like I would break out here. And I'm definitely not having any of that at all. And using like the beef tallow as my lotion um has honestly helped too. Like I just feel like my overall complexion just looks nicer. I don't get like the redness or the rosacea or whatever, unless I'm working out, then, there's a little bit of that. But so yeah, I mean, and all those things really affected just me, like affected my mood. Cause it's like, you wake up with a sinus headache, you wake up with joint pain, and you're like, oh my God, I just want to feel good. And, like your WNBA player, like you're doing all the things, like as in the nature of what we do, you think you're eating the right way, you think you're training the right way, you're recovering, you're putting what you need in your body to get the response that you want. And when you're not, it's so incredibly frustrating. You're like, what am I doing wrong? And no one pinpoints, like, well, it's what you're putting into your body. Like, yes, but what is it that I'm putting into my body that's causing this? And then, you know, watching you kind of post certain things, I was like, huh, what's she doing? Because like it seems like it's working. So yeah, I mean, kind of a laundry list of things, but I just feel better as a human eating this way, and it makes me a better mom, a better coach, a better friend, like, and sharing these things with my people, like, because one, like I had a pretty significant like change in my body composition, which is just an added bonus. That was not the reason I did this. But people notice and they're like, what are you doing? Like, well, X, Y, and Z. And you get the typical response like, no vegetables, no like starchy carbs, no this, no that. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like, I
No
am
gel
still eating.
packs, no brown rice, no Kind
Yeah.
bars, no Cliff bars.
Yeah. They're like,
What are
how are
some
you
other
surviving?
ones? The cottage cheese or the
Yeah.
the apple pack, the applesauce goo packs. I
Yeah. The
mean,
group packs.
there's
Yeah.
so many common ones you see across every single nutrition plan. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is a disaster.
Right. And like, and then for me, the constant worrying of like, I got to eat this, I got to eat that, it's 10 o'clock. I got to, I do not snack, which is huge for me. Like anybody who knows me, I was a grazer, like major grazer. And it's like I eat my big breakfast. That's like usually some kind of power bowl. And then
Yes, the Power Bowl is so
dude,
good. Wait, what's in it? Tell everyone what's in a Power Bowl.
yeah. So mine usually is like 3 to 4 eggs, probably like 2 or 3 like sausage patties or like sausage links, and then 2 or 3 pieces of bacon that I chop up. And then I like avocado. Like I'm a huge avocado person, so I'll throw that in there. And then sometimes like I'll put like a little bit of the honey or like pure maple syrup. That's just a little bit of it, just and a dash of hot sauce. Like, talk about enjoying your food when you wake up. Like I am
Yeah.
excited to eat.
Power
Um,
bowls are the best way to start your day.
it's so
It's like
good. Like
brain food.
it really is. And like to be on at from 6 a.m. to like noon, like straight through. I'm
Yeah.
not starving. I'm not worrying about like, okay, when do I have to eat next? Like I'm drinking my electrolytes and I'm training. And then I know at like 12:30, I'm gonna have another amazing meal that's meat forward, and I'll be great until dinner. And it's like no stress. I'm not running into the staff room being like, I gotta eat. And hold on, guys, I gotta quickly have this, brown rice and whatever mixture I'm eating. Like it's not like that anymore, and it's awesome.
That's such a great benefit too that not a lot of people discuss is you have actually less of an obsession around food and constantly thinking about food doing this
Yes.
because you
Yeah.
start your day off with the most satisfying
Ugh,
protein heavy, fat heavy, healthy fat heavy breakfast and then
yeah.
you're full for hours.
Yep.
And for female athletes who are in school throughout the day and they have to stay focused in class. I mean, what a great way to start your day to sustain that focus and that energy and that satisfaction and not constantly thinking about food and your next meal and what am I going to do? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? It's very freeing.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great word for it. I was gonna say it's like very satisfying to not have to worry about that, but freeing is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love that, and gosh, I think that's such an amazing list. I mean, you put digestive issues into remission, joint pain in your knee. I mean, that can
Oh,
really cause some devastation and just
yeah.
going about your daily life as a coach and female athletes too. Like they need to keep their joints healthy and not have that extra inflammation. And
Yeah.
I was talking to Cynthia about this, but more than training now, nutrition plays an even greater role in injury reduction.
Yep.
So it's
I believe
really
it.
important because if you're eating foods that are ultra processed and have too much sugar and additives in them, then that inflammation is holding in your muscles and in your joints. So
Yeah.
it is
Yep. Mhm.
highly influential with injuries. So that's a really big one. And then the menstrual cycle symptoms. That they it's all been great to get rid of, but I think that one is the best of all just because as females, we've been told our entire lives that this is just something we just have to put up with
Yep.
and push through, but I'm calling BS on that now because it is possible to fully get rid of those symptoms or like greatly reduce them. I
Yeah.
think not all girls will be perfect during that time during their periods, but you can definitely get to a point where your symptoms aren't debilitating and
Yes.
they're not taking you away from what you need to do that day. And I had a conversation the other day with a few of my female athletes, and we're kind of starting to talk about these lifestyle changes for hormonal health. And one girl said that she has debilitating cramps on day one and she feels it impacts the way she plays. And she just doesn't feel as fast and as
Mhm.
focused on the field. And then I had another girl who gets the worst symptoms on day two of her period. And yesterday, during one of our workouts, she just had to like take a pause for a second because her cramping like flared up so bad that she's like, oh my gosh, I need like a longer rest time before we do this next set. And I was like, no problem. That's not a big
Yeah.
deal. So then we got through the workout. And then at the end, I was like, look, I'm fine with giving you extra rest if you need, but I need you to also realize that you can improve your cramps by being more proactive with nutrition. So we started to talk about some things she can do, upping protein, upping healthy fats, and some anti-inflammatory foods and
Mhm.
hydration and electrolytes. So this is just information I just want to share with all the female athletes because these girls do not have to suffer anymore. And if
Hey.
they're doing a plan that isn't helping, then you have to ask questions. Like,
Yes.
just because you think it's healthy, because it looks good on paper, but you're still experiencing something debilitating, you have to ask
Something's
questions.
up. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I had friends in school that would literally miss days of school, like in high school,
Same.
because of that. And I was like, man, I mean, mine weren't that bad. Like I could get through. But again, taking Midol, taking Motrin and stuff like that, and that just adds to the stomach issues and all that stuff. But yeah, I think that like you said, it looks good on paper. It's kind of like the whole like textbook versus like real life, right? Like, you have what the textbooks tell you and you're like, okay, that I need to apply that. And if you're applying it and you're not getting anywhere and you're not getting any better, then it's like, okay, common sense says what's wrong. I need a different approach. What on here could be causing me to feel this way or not helping me resolve my problems. And I think people and especially females are afraid to do that because it's like, well, this is what the doctor's telling me and I have to listen to the doctor, or this is what the nutritionist is telling me and I got to listen to them. And it's like, if it's not working, you got to advocate for yourself like we said. And I hope that through like more like conversations like this and more information like this, people can start to like do it for themselves and not have to continue to beat them into the ground.
When I had Annie Kuntz on, she's a former D1 soccer player at Texas and now an Olympic track athlete. And she said that she had to do just this. She had to really dig deep because she was doing all those plans in college, like have your granola, have your chicken breast, have your rice, then have this other simple carbohydrate, and then have two more simple carbohydrates before you work out, and then have some during a workout. And there was no red meat in there. There was not enough high healthy fats, and it was really high sugar. And I'm not saying that everyone can't handle these plans. Some people can, but I think you get to a point eventually, whether you're older or a retired athlete, where it doesn't work anymore. So Annie, when she graduated college, she started doing the opposite of what everyone had told her and started to really up her red meat and have those high quality carbohydrates. She does a lot of potatoes as well, some berries and some other fruits, but she says the same thing. Her period symptoms are completely gone now. And, she might notice a little bit on day one, but it's nothing debilitating. And then she's chilling the
Yeah.
rest of the week. And then I had another girl, an 18-year-old female athlete, who was also doing one of these mainstream plans. and she wasn't putting on muscle mass. She kept gaining water weight, and she was very insecure in her body. And I think it's okay to talk about the body composition discussion because female athletes want to be strong. They want to be robust. They want to build lean muscle. And this girl was struggling. She couldn't figure out why she wasn't getting results. And then on top of that, she still had polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Mhm.
She didn't have a period for several months. She was getting chin acne, all the classic symptoms of PCOS. And she finally figured out, oh, this is not the nutrition plan I should be on, even though it looks good from the outside.
Yeah,
It's crazy. And I get DMs like this on a weekly basis that this stuff is not working for female athletes.
right. Yeah, it's funny because, and we've talked about this before, like, prior to this, I was in the gym 6 days a week, pounding weights, you know what I mean? Like, all the things, right? Running, blah, 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 and I didn't see major changes in my body comp, and I'm like, "Well, maybe that's just me, it is what it is, whatever." And then when I flipped the switch and was, like, very protein and fat oriented, like, it was funny, like, I had one of my athletes who I've had for a long time, she's now in my adult classes. I jumped in with them and I was lifting, and we did, like, an arm finisher or something. I think I had a cutoff on, and we're doing bicep curls, and she's like, "When did you get a bicep vein and biceps?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" I'm like,
Right.
"I've always had biceps, like, whatever." She's like, "No, like, those are popping and your vein is huge." And I'm like, "It's what I'm eating. I'm telling you it's what I'm eating because I've cut back in the gym," which I think is huge because we
Yes.
are so like, beat your body into the ground to get the results. So I went from 6 days a week of lifting to 3 days a week, and it's nothing special. Like, it's like 45 to 60 minutes. I get a good sweat, I feel great, my body feels great, and then I'm hiking a lot, and I'm running a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like, it's not stress. Like, I feel like on top of the eating regimen, right? That's stress, and then on top of being like, okay, I gotta wake up, I gotta kill myself in the gym for an hour and a half because that's how I get my results. And I mean, I did this for years. I mean, 10 plus years, 15 plus years, and when I flipped the switch in March, I have the body composition that I've always desired. And yeah, so I mean, I agree. I think in a healthy way, thinking about your body comp with what you're eating is important.
That's such an important point that girls should not feel like they have to over exercise and over stress their bodies to achieve a certain body composition.
Yeah,
And with what we're talking about, it should come pretty easily if
yeah,
you're consuming high protein, high fat first, and also doing quality workouts, not
yes,
killing yourself, and then
hmm,
using those recovery days. And I keep bringing up Annie Kuntz because she has such a similar story to you, but
hmm,
she actually just posted a reel before we hopped on here of her back in 2017 over exercising, trying to train her body to put on muscle mass and reduce fat, and she wasn't getting anywhere. And she actually didn't look healthy trying to do that, super inflamed,
hmm,
just
yep,
and also she also talked about her period pains during that time in her
yeah,
life. So that was also going on. And then she talked about, here's what I'm doing now today. I'm having at least 30 plus grams of protein a meal. I'm doing more quality, explosive sprint workouts and strength training and really putting on the muscle mass and embracing my off days.
yeah,
And I'm like, that's the messaging female athletes need,
yeah,
that it's
yep,
about quality nutrition, quality training over quantity.
yeah,
So I think gosh, it's just so, so important. And I think this is a message that will take them throughout their entire lives when
hmm,
they become moms like you or they start working in their career. It's like you don't want over exercising and constantly thinking about food in your next meal to take up your life. I mean, you're
and
so busy. Like
yeah,
you're busy being a mom, you have stuff to do, you have athletes to coach. It's like I don't want to be thinking about all that stuff. I just want it to come with ease, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
I truly think it can. I
yeah,
truly think it can, and I love the video you sent of your daughter,
yeah,
last night. She's, like,
yeah,
eating her steak, and she's like, "Mom, I want more," and she is
yeah.
like, she can eat. She can
Dude,
eat.
she really can. So, like, a little story about that. I always have Dakota on Tuesdays. Like I don't work until 4 o'clock. So that's my day with her. Um, and I always make the same breakfast, like we talked about the Power Bowl. And we share it. Like she usually eats like a pretty good amount of it. And she loves it. I mean, she can't get enough of it. She loves avocados, constantly asking for that, asking for bacon, like,
Say she's like, "Cado, please,"
yes, more cotto peas. Um, and so like last night I got
oh,
home and I made a steak and a sweet potato and I sat down and she's playing in the living room and she sees it and she goes running over like the funniest face. Like she just saw it and she was like, oh, runs over and she picks herself up onto the chair and she's like, I have sweet potatoes too. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, so I start feeding it to her and then she goes, what's dad's? And I'm like, that's my steak. And she goes, I have that too. And I'm like, yep. So like she had probably at least a fourth, if not more, of my steak, and it was like a decent sized steak. She definitely had half of my sweet potato for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated at all. Like that dinner took me maybe 15 minutes to make, and you can easily do that with your kids. Again, it goes back to like the stress of just life in general and simplifying it where you can simplify it. And if it's simplifying your food and your nutrition, like there's so many more benefits to that. Not only like the less stress, but again, we just talked about all the benefits of it. And for our kids to be eating that and understanding like this is good food. I enjoy it. It tastes great and I'm full versus like, the snacking all day on all the garbage, like the goldfish, the fruit snacks, the whatever. It's like that is not fulfilling. Like you need to constantly be eating that stuff all day and you're still not full. Like, and we'll see it with them. If there's a weekend where like we're doing something and it's like we're on the go, it's like here, you try to do healthy, like beef jerky sticks and cheese sticks, stuff like that. But still, every once in a while, you've got to, you throw them the goldfish or whatever, and they're always asking for more. I'm like, okay, you should be full. Like this is stupid. Um, so yeah, it was super cute. So I was like, because I knew we were coming on today, and I'm like, this is great. I'm like, she's all about the meal that I had today. So
it was so cute, and she's growing. She's getting some muscle on her too. She's
it,
getting some biceps.
yeah, she's such a active kid. Like she climbs on everything. We're at a playground every other day. Back to my older one, she just started basketball for the first time. So
I've
Dakota,
seen those videos.
she's so funny. She's so
Yeah.
hard on herself already. I'm like, oh my god, kid, you're 5. Just have fun. Like you're learning. But Dakota like just wants to be back. So like we got her a little mini basketball and she's dribbling around. She slept with it last night and I'm like, this is hilarious. Like you're a true athlete. Like you had your steak and sweet potato and then you fell asleep with your basketball. Like,
That's so adorable.
so
I
funny.
love that. And
Yeah.
I think you mentioned something so great that it can be easy, but there is some prep that's involved, and I really think that your nutrition should be seen as your equipment, like your sports equipment or what you're taking to school in your backpack. You have to have that nutrition ready to set your kids up for success. And I know you talk about your air fryer a lot. I have one. If you guys listening don't have an air fryer, you live in a
Yeah.
cave, you need to go get one. The
Game
holidays are
changer.
coming up as we're recording this. Please ask for an air fryer for Christmas because it is so fast. And like you said, it takes maybe 15 to 20 minutes to make your chicken wings or cook a quick steak or maybe put some burger patties and some cheese and bacon in there. I mean,
Yep.
it's the best thing ever. And the meal prep really doesn't need to take too long. I had a mom email me the other day, which I thought was so great. She was just asking for advice. She's like, hey, I love your very like meat forward message and I really want my daughter to start adding in more red meat into her nutrition plan so she can build some muscle and recover faster. And I'm like, yes, this is awesome. So she asked me for recipes and I'm like, you don't need any crazy recipes. Just figure out what pre-made rub you like at the store, or if you just like salt or throw some blue cheese crumbles on that steak. I mean,
Yep.
it doesn't need to be anything complex because meat tastes good regardless. I mean, I can
Yeah.
just salt something and I am good to go.
Solid.
Some people might need a few more spices, but you don't need these wild recipes that take forever to read and forever to cook.
Ugh.
It can be that easy.
It really can. Like I used to bake my chicken thighs. I'm obsessed with chicken thighs, and I just started air frying them. It's like literally cuts the time in half, and it actually makes them like more crispy on the outside, which I love. But yeah, I think I use that air fryer probably twice a day. Like whether it's I'm cooking my chicken wings for lunch, or I'm throwing a steak in there, or whatever you can do literally anything in that thing, and it's air fried, so it's super healthy the way it's made, like the way it's cooked. Like you're baking it, you're air frying it. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the air fryer is so key because you can really easily get that meat in at every meal of the day.
Yeah,
And then as far as breakfast, I think, people tend to rush in the morning for school, but that really, you need to front end that because breakfast is a very important meal for female athletes. If you are starting the day starving and in a calorie deficit, they're not going to have energy during school. They're not going to have sustained energy for practice after school and through the evening. So that prep is key to make sure they're getting a very satiating protein heavy breakfast in. That is so,
yeah.
so critical.
I think I shared the recipe with you, the egg bite recipe.
Oh, it's so
Um,
good. Yeah.
yeah, and it's so easy. Like we literally sometimes will make like 50 of them on a Sunday, and then you have it for the week. Where like I can have mine, and then the kids can have theirs, and whatever. And they love them. These like, little tiny egg bites. They just take them in the car, and boom, like great breakfast. So yeah, it does not have to be hard whatsoever.
It's a really good recipe and you can get creative with it. You can add the cheese you like, cheddar cheese,
Yep.
bacon, maybe some chives or any like vegetable you like. That's totally fine.
Anything.
So yeah, I mean it is easy, but I want people to really think about nutrition as equipment and it does need to be prepped. You need to think through it. Otherwise, you're not going to set your female athlete up for success.
Right.
So either take time on a Sunday or have an air fryer so you can quickly heat up breakfast in the morning or have a quick
Yeah.
dinner when they get home late at night. I mean, it's something you do kind of have to be disciplined with and it's like is it worth it to you to get rid of some of those hormonal symptoms or maybe any other symptoms that you're experiencing? I'll just go over the ones that I have gotten rid of from
Yeah.
this lifestyle. So, gotten rid of bloating, constipation, acne, rosacea, fatigue, and having like a midday crash,
Hmm.
enamel tooth decay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
when I was mainly plant-based, my enamel on my teeth was like it was getting clear. You could like see through my teeth. So that's
Wow.
been a crazy one. I imagine it's because I'm getting vitamin D3 from animal-based sources and vitamin K2.
Yeah.
Which is
Interesting.
very, very interesting. By the way, kale has vitamin K1. Humans need vitamin K2, which is only found in meat. So, fun
There you
fact.
go. Mhm.
Also gotten rid of eye puffiness, so like kind of like under eye bags, sugar cravings. I mean,
Oh, I
I
didn't talk about
just
that. Yes.
yeah, I just don't like I don't know. It was my birthday this past weekend and we went out to brunch and I had a really good crab cake. It was awesome. I still love my seafood. I
Oh
encourage
yeah.
everyone to still eat their seafood.
Mhm.
I got a crab cake and I was pretty full. And at the end of the meal, they're like, "Oh, you want to get like a dessert for your birthday?" I'm like, I mean, yeah, sure, I guess, but I wasn't, like, really craving it. I was just
Yeah.
like, "Okay, whatever." And
Right.
it was, like, these, like, Nutella, like, milk and cookies that they're,
Yeah.
like, bougie milk and
Yeah.
cookies, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And they were good, but, like, I had a few bites and I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine." It's just the
Yeah.
weirdest thing. So that's been a crazy one. I just don't have cravings anymore for sugar. I'm actually more of a salty person now.
Agree for sure.
Yeah, I'm more of a
Yeah.
salty person, so
Yeah.
that's been interesting, and then, you said this one, no more cramps and period pains, that's been probably the best, and then also, I think you might have said this, I have no more DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, so I
Yeah.
don't
Mhm.
get sore a few days, after a workout, and I'm doing 2 days, I'm doing a speed and strength workout on the same day,
Yeah.
but the work days are work days and then the rest days are full rest days. So I think the periodization has also helped too. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I just feel very well recovered and my workouts are still very powerful. So
Yeah.
I guess like we can go over this is gonna look different for everyone, but what are you mainly eating? And then I'll talk about what I'm eating.
My big staples are gonna be eggs, some type of sausage patty, definitely bacon, avocado. I cook in good butter, or like I'll cook the bacon and the sausage, and then I'll just throw the eggs in the pan because it's just the grease from all that or the fat from that. And then I am big on the chicken thighs, the chicken wings, steaks of any kind. I am a big seafood person too, so I'll have fish here and there. Like I love salmon. I mean, I love any kind of fish, but salmon's kind of like the staple. And then like carb wise, like sweet potatoes are great for me, and then jasmine rice, like those two, like on the days where I'm working out and I'm lifting, like I definitely have that usually like immediately after. And then from a fruit standpoint, right now, apples, just because they're majorly in season right now for us. And then I'm drinking my element just as my like electrolytes throughout the day. That's kind of like the main rocks. I don't really stray, like a Caesar salad here and there if we have the romaine and we want to make it. But yeah, I mean it's so routine and it's like so great to not think about like and we keep saying that. I feel like we're beating a dead horse, but it is like such an elimination of stress to just know, okay, yep, I have chicken wings for lunch today. Cool. Like, and I always just have enough of it for the week. You know what I mean? It's not like I plan it. I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to need this, this, and this, and I just don't know what I want that day. Like, cool. I'm going to have a steak and sweet potato. Great. So yeah, I think those are my main rocks right now.
Yeah, that sounds very balanced to me. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone has their own definition of balance though, as we know.
Right. Right. For sure.
Okay, so for me, pretty similar. I do eggs and ground beef for breakfast, and I throw bacon in there. Some days I'll add avocado or cheddar cheese,
Hmm.
just if for extra calories on workout days. I'll do sweet potatoes, purple potatoes, golden potatoes for my carbs, and then also blueberries. I love grapes right now. Like nothing's better than frozen grapes. It's so
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
and very high sugar content too. And then I also do a lot of local honey on
Oh,
workout
really?
days. And what else? Yeah, any cut of steak. I am embracing seafood a lot more just
Yeah.
because there's a lot of zinc and omega-3s and good mineral content. So, when I can, maybe like every other month, I'll go out and have a nice lobster dinner because I love
Yeah.
lobster. But
Yeah.
usually shrimp is very
Mm.
cheap at the local Publix, and then crab cakes at the local Publix are actually not a bad price either. So I'll do those from time to time just to kind of mix it up a little bit. And then we do a lot of shrimp, usually like once a week or every other week. I'm trying to think, did I miss anything else? No, and I do chicken wings as well.
Love a
And as
chicken.
far as like sauces or condiments to mix it up, I mean, I'll like on steak, I might put gorgonzola cheese or blue cheese. I can handle dairy pretty well, actually. Or I'll do like butter or tallow or avocado or some. I can actually do garlic now. Garlic
Nice.
is very easy for me, but I don't do it every day. But sometimes I'll just do it as a topping.
Yeah.
And I always salt my stuff a lot just
Mhm.
for the added electrolytes and just how much I'm, like, sweating and working out in Florida.
Yeah.
So,
Totally. Yep.
definitely keep the salt high.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just been something that is enjoyable. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Truly though, like
the
truly.
I don't think would ever get sick of those power bowls every morning, and for you, the
No.
chicken wings, and that's why I wanted to bring you back on this time for a 3rd time because we are now at the end of the year here. I've been doing this for well over a year now,
Mhm.
and you've been doing this for 6 to 8 months?
Yeah, I'd say March. So what month are we in?
Yeah,
Oh my
November.
god. Yeah, so I'd say like a solid 8 months, yeah. And
Yeah,
not deviating pretty much at all. I mean, like I said, here and there I'll have like a pizza or whatever,
like
but
holiday, yeah,
yeah, but it's
yeah.
pretty like spot on where I'm like, no, like I feel good. And that's the other thing I want to say too is like I have tried so many other diets, so many other nutrition plans, and I get sick of it after like 2 weeks. Like literally, I'd be like, screw it, I'm going back to my whatever I want to eat. And now it's like I love how I'm eating. Like I am not sick of it. Like you said, the power bowls in the morning. I'm excited to wake up and eat. Like that was not the case prior to this. Like I'm like, ugh, I'm just not gonna eat. I'll intermittent fast and like that'll be my thing. But yeah, now it's like I'm excited. I enjoy it. It's not a chore. It's like, and I'm not sick of it at all. And it's been 8 months. Like I thought for sure. I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. Like because I know how I am. Nope, like, love it. Don't see it changing at all.
And that's exactly why I just wanted to follow up with you to just
Yeah.
let people know that this is sustainable. And what is sustainable is obviously something you really enjoy,
Yep.
but it also has to be something that gives you energy and can get rid of certain symptoms you're experiencing.
Yep.
And like for me, I've been doing this for well over a year and love it just as much, if not
Yeah.
more. And the symptom improvement just keeps getting better and better and better. There's like certain things that just drop off, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck? Like, where'd that
Yeah.
go?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been so amazing, and I just encourage all female athletes or the parents or coaches listening to dive deeper, and I'll link some professionals below who are great to follow. Obviously, I'll link Heather's contact below if you have questions on her journey, and then Cynthia, who is my current coach, she is just a wealth of knowledge in this space. So each plan, the amounts and the macros, it will look different depending on your height, your weight, and your goals. But overall, Cynthia is very on board with a meat forward and high healthy fat lifestyle. And I definitely recommend checking out her work and asking for help if you need something more specific to you. So,
Mhm.
thank you, Heather. This was
Yes.
awesome to just follow up and just see you continue to thrive and
Yeah.
live your best life. So, thank you
Yeah.
again,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
I'll see everyone next time.